Hi, my name is Dustin Miles. I'm with Momentum Multifamily. I'm excited to have Nkem here today. So Nkem, I'll hand it over to you. Would love to learn more about you and just what you do and where you live and all that good stuff.
Dustin, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. As he said, my name is Nkem Ezeamama. I'm an ER physician. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm also the CEO and founder of Phoenix Capital Investment. So again, I'm really excited to be here. I can't wait for us to delve into talking kind of and see where it takes us.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great. Well, I guess if you could, so have you always lived in Nashville? Did you grow up there? And then what do you do for a living right now?
Okay, so nope, I didn't. I did not grow up in Nashville. I moved there for work. So, like I stated before, I'm an ER physician, and I grew up in Nigeria. My parents are Nigerian. I grew up in Nigeria, moved to the U.S. for college. I'm a Gator, go Gators.
Oh, there you go.
And then I moved to DC for medical school. I did my official training in emergency medicine in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I ended up in Nashville, Tennessee. A job took me there and kind of fell in love with it and have grown
Oh, wow.
there. And so
Gotcha.
that's what I do. That's my daytime job. That's what I say. And then I started like 5, 6 years ago, I started investing in real estate and
Hmm.
specifically multifamily real estate as a passive investor. And then I saw the need, but I also saw the ability for wealth creation and generation, especially as healthcare professionals. And so I started educating healthcare professionals about the need to diversify, about the need to add real estate to your portfolio. And really, that's how Phoenix Capital was born. It was from a place of just wanting others who are like me in the same boat to learn about this other alternative asset class. And from there, kind of it just grew.
Awesome. And where did the name Phoenix come from?
So it's the original phoenix bird, which is rising from the ashes, but it has a Slavic female version, which is the spelling that you see phoenix.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. So, as far as getting into real estate 5, 6 years ago, did you start out in single family? Did you just jump right into multifamily or
Good
some
question.
other?
So I started, there's always a backstory, right? So
Mhm.
I started investing. I really was looking for work was, I love medicine, right? And I'm grateful
Mhm.
to be a physician and to make a difference, but work was becoming a little bit more challenging, a little bit more difficult.
Mm.
We were losing hours. There's just a bunch of stuff that I thought maybe I needed to figure out ways to diversify my income. And so I started investing in real estate. Really, my first bout was passive investing. So I did not do single family, I didn't do Airbnb. I just found the right operators and I vetted the deal and I was really happy with kind of what they were offering. And so I decided to take a calculated risk with a level of trust and I jumped into my first deal. And
Oh,
that's how
wow.
I got here today. Yes.
Wow. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I remember when I invested in my first deal, and I was actually friends with a guy, and I was still, it was the biggest, other than I
Yes.
guess buying a single
Yes.
family house for me, it was the biggest check I'd written.
I agree.
So yeah. And I guess I don't know if you recall or, because I know it's, maybe it's a few years ago, but whenever you first invested, I guess what were there certain things that you did to where you're like, okay, now I'm good to go with this.
So I would say, and I tell a lot of my new investors this because they don't know, right? And so I
Mhm.
spent time, I did, I guess what you would call due diligence, but I asked a lot of questions. So I learned about a little bit about the market, not a lot because I didn't know that much. But I guess where my questions really fell in the beginning were the operators, so the people who
Mhm.
own and manage the property alongside me. As a passive investor in the beginning, my job was to bring the capital and then
Yep.
the owners, the operators would manage it, right? And so I think my first deal, I really invested in the owners and the operators because I was trusting that they knew, that they had done their work, that they had picked the right market,
Mhm.
they had done the hard due diligence, they had done the underwriting, they had made the assumptions, and so I was trusting in them in the beginning. And I
Mhm.
think that's where I did my due diligence. But I also asked them to give me some investor that had invested with them prior. And so
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted to interview those people and just say, tell me about the deal. Tell me about prior investments you've done. I asked about communication, like how transparent were the operators? If something went wrong, did they tell you about
Hmm.
it? So those are my interview questions. Like I
Yep.
asked them what did the returns look like? I asked them if they had stopped any distributions. So like
Mhm.
I looked online and I was like, what questions should a passive investor ask?
Yeah.
And so then I asked the investors those questions. And then I just asked them, I was like, would you do it again with these people? And if the answer
Mhm.
was yes, then I had a good feeling that like, but at the end of the day, I think this is what I knew was that I was taking a risk, right? As much as
Right.
it was still my decision, it was still my money. So I knew that if it went awry or if it failed, right? Like it's a decision I made, and I knew that there's a chance it could not be successful. So
Right. Right.
I went in with that understanding, but I still, of course, it's hard earned money, right? This is the money I make
Mhm.
when I'm in the hospital at 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
right? When I'm supposed to be in bed. So it's
Yep.
important that I made the right decision to the best of my ability. So my first deal, I didn't really understand like where the location is or
Mhm.
what, market rents meant. I didn't understand any of that. I just wanted to know the people.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, that's challenging, for sure. I mean, honestly, like even, like if someone handed me, a passive, deal for me to invest in passively, and I'm an operator, I've been doing this, for a while. If it's in a different market, I don't
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they've spent, hopefully, 100 hours, 100 plus
Yes.
hours,
Yes.
whatever. And like, I don't have that local
Yeah. I
knowledge. Real
agree. I
estate's
agree.
local.
I
So,
agree.
yeah, definitely a real challenge for sure. Definitely, people think it's interesting. I had a call with an investor, and I was trying to be funny with him a little bit too, and he was asking for references similar to what you were referring to, and I just kind of kiddingly, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna, just send you the number for my mom or my best friend either. So, anyways, he thought that was funny, but I told him I was like, look, I'll give you because I've done enough deals, like some of them easy, like
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
great.
Slam dunk.
Yeah, I don't have to do anything. It's, honestly kind of just market, blah, blah, blah. And others like,
They
I'm like, oh
struggle.
my gosh, we're doing everything we can, and it's still just, curveball after curveball, whatever. And so I was like, I'm gonna send you the curveball people, and I'm gonna send you the one that went really
Yeah.
well, and then so you
Yeah.
got, a mixture of people, and you
Yeah.
can make your decision from there. So,
So one thing is like now when investors ask for references, right? I have a list of people who I've asked in the past, hey, can you be a reference? And they say yes. But I've never had conversations with them about what to say. So
mm,
I
yeah.
just trust that like I'm learning. I was having a conversation with my sister last night. And this is because an investor was referring another potential investor to me, and I
Mm,
just thought in life, right? Like, and this is so going completely off tangent, but I was just thinking, like, in life, you have to be a good person. You have to be a
yeah,
decent person
yeah,
because you just don't
yeah.
know, right? And so I say that to say, um, my investors, right? The investors have invested with me for a while, right? I just tell them, I'm like, hey, can I send this person to you? But like the
Hmm.
conversations, I have no idea. I just do a three-way text message introduction, and then it goes, and then that's the end of
Right.
it. And I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
and I like it that way. So like good, bad, and but I'm hoping that like what we built and our track record will speak for me, and who
Hmm.
I am as a person. But like, yeah, it's too much to control.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah. So, you were passive in a deal or maybe a few more. I'm not, and now you've kind of moved over to the GP side and all that. What does that look like for you and how did you you're talking about, there's a lot of trust here, and not only is it your money, but it's all the, 5, 10, 15, whatever, however many people that you've built this relationship with. Some of them might be your family.
Yes.
What is that? How did that kind of evolve, and what does that look like for you?
So it's funny you say your family because my mom has invested, my sister has invested, my brother-in-law
Mm.
has invested. So
Oh
it
wow.
definitely is, yes, it's definitely been a lot of trust. But how the transition happened, it really happened from a place of I really started educating investors and really started
Hmm.
educating friends, family, colleagues. And I just said, this is truly an asset class that maybe we weren't told, but we should be
Hmm.
aware of and we should try to invest in it. Right. And that's kind of how it started. And so the more I talked about it, the more I educated, the feedback I kept getting was, well, find me a deal. We have some
Hmm.
money sitting, right? It was just natural, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we did a deal together, and it was a small deal. They saw the work I put in, and so when that started, right, I started educating myself more. I took an underwriting class that lasted maybe a year.
Oh
So I
wow.
did that,
That's
and
cool. Good for
then
you.
and so that was how, because every deal that I bring to my investors, I have underwritten the deal. So
Hmm.
I can tell, make assumptions. I can tell you what rent growth is going to be. I can tell you what expenses, like I can do all of that on every
Hmm.
deal. I know what levers to pull to be. I know like, okay, expense should be at like based on the vintage, it should be around 40%. Like all of that, I
Hmm.
learned that so that like the deal has to pencil for me to say I want to be a part of this deal. And so I did
Yeah.
that. I took an underwriting class. I read a bunch of books. I took and so that was when I started. I joined, like I did like intensives. So, a 3 to 5 day course on acquisition, another
Okay.
one that was just on acquisition, everything about it. Then I did another intensive on capital raising. I did another
Mm.
intensive on asset management. And so so I started learning that way. And as I took that underwriting class, right, I would reach out to brokers, and my goal was underwrite 5 deals a week. So while
Mm.
I still had my full-time job, I was doing all of that because now I knew that like I wanted to build something, and I knew that trust comes with like a level of expertise, and I needed my people to trust that like I had their best
Right.
interests at heart, but that also meant that I knew what I was doing. And so those are some of the things that like I did on the back end that nobody knows, nobody saw.
Mm.
But it was very important for me for them to know that like I like every deal I understand. And I also told my investors, right, I invest alongside with them as a limited partner in
Hmm.
every deal
Hmm.
because I want you to know that I have skin in the game. It's very important to me. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of how, so your question about moving. So that was the transition, right? It started with education, and then we got it on a deal. And then from there, I started significantly learning. And so then I built Phoenix Capital. And then from there, kind of like my role in deals, right? So, but then I had roles in every part of the deal. So like
Hmm.
I was in acquisition, I was in capital raising, I was in the key principal portion of it. I was also in asset management. So I started really playing a significant role
Mm.
because it was just like some of the skills I had learned helped me along every step of the way.
Right. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, a lot of people, I've seen some people do something kind of similar, or they'll raise capital and then maybe do sign the loan, or some people, raise capital or maybe do a little bit of asset management. So that's cool. You've kind of been able to kind of, sit in all those different seats, because it's yeah, definitely interesting. I know when I first started, I did my first deal in 2014, and it was before the apartment industry wasn't as mature as it is today. So you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of get away with this. But I mean, I wore all the hats, but like people didn't really team up. And today, so I've had some people like, hey, if you were to get started today, what would that look like? And I was like, well, honestly, I'd probably do something similar to what the path that you took, but join a team though, because you
Yep.
can't do this
Yep.
stuff by
No,
by
this is
yourself.
not there's no way.
These
This is not a
these
one
deals are
woman
too
show.
big.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And anyways, but I've done deals on my own. I've done deals as a team. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a team person. I
I
I don't
get
like doing stuff.
it's
Yeah,
not
lone
fun.
wolf is not fun. No, no. So, well, because and stuff happens, and you have apartments, you have tons of people in a small area, so stuff is going to happen.
Yep.
Stuff's going to pop up, and
Yep.
it's like I would love to be able to, hey, what do you think about this? But like if it's just me, then I don't, I don't have that. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And what does your deal box kind of look like, and just kind of what sort of deals, what locations, and what are
So
you
I'm
guys
looking,
looking
so in
for?
terms of deals, I'm looking in the Southeast, so
Mhm.
primarily Georgia, Carolinas, Tennessee. Those are the three markets
Okay.
that I know I like. I've done significant market research now as we're growing. And we're looking at Class B, like
Hmm.
Class B vintage of maybe around like 1990s and up is kind of what I'm looking at now.
Hmm.
And in terms of pricing, I'd say comfortably anywhere like 15 to 20 million, I think would be
Okay.
a comfortable place for us to be able to raise the capital, to have the team structure that we need to get that done and to manage it.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. And do you guys work with a third party management company, or do
Yes,
you?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Cool.
Yes, we use Fortis Management Company
Okay.
based in Atlanta.
Nice. Okay. Cool. I don't know if you knew this, but this is probably 17, 18. I was flying out to Atlanta a lot. I was bidding on deals out there. And so,
Really?
yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm, there's this one deal where investors would have done really well just because of timing,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just because it was 17, and I remember I could have bought this deal for 40 and sold it for 80 in like 2 years. But anyways, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. Just in general, it would have been good for investors on that, but I would have gotten some momentum, and I probably would have bought more and more.
Being
And
too fast and not
yeah,
stayed where you are.
yep. And one thing that I've learned over the years, and this is why so we're just buying in Houston and
Okay.
Dallas because we want stuff like we have 5 assets all within 15 or 20 minutes, and that's
Nice.
we like to cluster
Yes,
everything
yes, yes.
together, and operations have been really challenging in the past few years, so we've tried to. Anyways, when I first started out, you didn't have to operate.
It's true.
It
It's
was
true.
two-tone paint and vinyl flooring, and there you go. So, but is there are you guys as far as just technology and AI and all that, is there anything on that end that you guys have
Yes,
started to look at
yes.
or
So
incorporate?
we use so we use a software that is AI technology to kind of figure out like where occupancy is, what
Mm-hmm.
to increase rent by, where we will like how to get pre-lease, like what our pre-lease numbers look like. And so we
Mm-hmm.
use that platform to kind of help us on a week by week basis. It's really neat.
Hmm.
But that's like one way that we have brought in AI is really, I would say that the place that we've used it well is marketing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I think, talk to you in a year and it'll probably be a lot different
Everywhere,
than, yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
So,
it's
yeah.
yes, I agree with you. Like, and we're
It's moving
slowly
fast.
bringing it in. We're incorporating it. We're very open to AI. We've used it. We tried to use a little bit in our underwriting, but there's still a finesse that comes with like human underwriting. I don't
Hmm.
think personally that we're there yet, but I could see
Yeah.
us getting there within the next year
Right.
or
Right.
two.
Going back to how did you meet your partners? What about them where you're like, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to bring my family's money, towards
Partner,
this
do it together.
deal. Yeah.
I would say, one, they took a chance on me. So when
Hmm.
I was like, when I was brand new, when Phoenix was 0 years old, right? Um, a day or an infancy or birth, I was I was calling people and I was knocking on doors and
Mm-hmm.
I was doing
Oh wow.
everything. And I stumbled upon this group and they were like, okay. let's see what you have to offer, right? They're like, okay, what are your areas of expertise or your areas of strength? And I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I am a physician. I think that maybe I have the ability to pull people together, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they were like, okay, let's test that, right? And everybody else said no, but they said, let me give you a
Oh,
try.
wow.
And so
Okay.
that was a big factor in like my partner. And then on the other side, right, I saw a level of transparency. Like
Mm-hmm.
even before we became partners, right? I would ask for like a deal sheet. They would send it. I'd ask for, I'm like, hey, I don't know how to do this, right? And they're like, okay, like they taught the kind of abundance mindset that there's plenty for all of us. And I wanted to
Mm.
be a part of that, right? And so
Cool.
I wanted to work alongside people that like thought like there's space for us to conquer the whole world, but we will all
Mm-hmm.
individually be successful. Like Phoenix will do well, Dave will do well. And I wanted to
Yeah.
be a part of that type of ecosystem. And I wanted my investors to have access to that. And so it doesn't always work out. And we have days where we disagree and we
Sure.
scream, but such
Yeah.
is life.
Yeah.
The fundamentals are the same. And I think that's important when you're looking for a partnership. I think it's important that you align on the big picture. The other stuff is nitty gritty and you can work them out.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that so we've partnered with just just bigger deals, and you
Yes.
takes a team and all that stuff and all that, and just kind of over last 10 years. One thing I when people really focus on money, I've noticed I'm like, okay, this is not going to
Yeah.
uh
Yes. Yes. Yes.
that's your focus, not not like team
Investors.
or
Yes.
yeah, or
Yes.
investors and
Yeah.
all that. And then some other things that I guess I've seen is and there's some instances where like, look, this is a hard like line,
Yes. Yes.
especially
Absolutely.
in terms of just honesty and integrity and all that. But there's some other items where, I've we've worked with some other people, and I'm like, they're not flexible at all. Like, I mean, I'm like, come on, I mean, this isn't a life and death
I
situation, or this
agree.
isn't an integrity issue. Like, I don't know. I've noticed because I've been feels like you would think these deals get easier over time, and they don't. And I feel like we get into these deals, and then a curveball comes,
Yeah.
and it's like you've got to pivot a little
I did.
bit. Not a huge, whatever pivot, but you typically have to pivot. And so being able to work with people who are cool and calm and
Yeah.
collected under pressure. That's another thing too that I've really noticed. Like once the pressure starts, that's when you really see who you've got.
I agree. I agree.
So, anyways, but um, I guess we're towards the end of the year. Thanksgiving's around the corner. What does 2026 and maybe beyond look like for you and your company and your partners
So,
and all that good stuff?
um, we're working hard. We just got under contract for a deal in Atlanta.
Congrats.
Thank you. So we are actively raising for that deal. We just signed the PSA last week. Time
Oh
is
well.
flying, maybe a week and a half recent. And so we're starting, I can't remember. So we're doing due diligence this week. And then we're going to kind of hit the ground running. So I think that will probably take us into early
Hmm.
January. And then my goal, at least I've pushed our team, is maybe 3 to 4 deals next year is what we're shooting for. And I
Great.
think it's enough to work hard. But
Hmm.
I think it's enough to work hard and stay busy, stay working. And I think it's enough of a challenge that I think just based on what 2025 looked and felt like, it was pretty challenging to
Hmm.
attempt to close 4 deals. And so that's kind of what a good push for the team looks like. I'm shooting to try to do weekly or bi-weekly really educational webinars for our investor community. I think that's really important. So I'm thinking through like series ideas,
Hmm.
topic ideas that would be very beneficial for them. I think that's so important. I just think yes, I can hand them a deal, but if I don't give them the tools and the understanding behind what they're doing, I think it
Mm.
might be a lost cause almost. So I
Right.
really want to focus on investor education in 2026 as well. I think those are just my big things. Like when I talk about kind of investor focus, deal focus, that's what we're going after.
Awesome. No, that's great. Yeah, it's I think kind of going back to I guess when I first started, it was I didn't do any, I would email people out. I didn't even have it's interesting, like I didn't even do a webinar. I just sent them like a one pager and like here you go, and then money came in. So, anyways, it was an interesting time, but yeah, I think, people are so inundated with emails and
Yep, yep, yep.
all this other stuff. And so, yeah, being able to kind of, for you to cut through the noise and,
Yes,
hey, I'm not
yes,
trying to pitch you on anything.
yes, yes.
I'm just here to educate, here to
Yep,
help,
yep,
and
yep.
go from there is, yeah,
Agree.
definitely a right way to go. Well, cool. Well, I really appreciate your time. What is the best way for people to reach out to you? By the way, I think I've told you this before. Your LinkedIn presence is awesome.
I'm
So,
grateful. I'm grateful
yeah.
since you mentioned that. That's exactly what I was going to say. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on any social media platform, but I have seen the power. I will put a plug out to LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I have seen the power of LinkedIn. Like when you show up authentically, you show up as your true self and you
Hmm.
give value. LinkedIn has been a huge success for me. So I'd say one, reach out to me on LinkedIn, let's connect. But two, if you're thinking about building something, right? If you're thinking about building something of value that is authentic, and you are looking for where to start, maybe what social media platform to start it, I think you should think about LinkedIn. There are over 1 billion users. The platform
Wow.
is wonderful. Yeah, so it's a really good place. You will find every sort of audience that you're looking for there. So think about it, join it, but more than that, find me there.
There you go. Sounds good. Yeah. We'll appreciate your time. And yeah, look forward to talking soon. Thank
Yes,
you.
you're welcome. Bye,
See ya.
guys.
Bye.